and just be. I'm finding it out. I'm learning my truth. Gangsta gratitude for all we've been through. A new versus worth. Welcome. Welcome. I'm gonna chill out while y'all come in. Might bang on some drums to get us grounded before we get started. Can y'all hear me? Hi, Anna. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are y'all? So, I felt inspired to get on here and connect with like-minded people, souls, people who are on this journey of healing. I'm Kamson. I am an oracle. I have died a few times and was able to agree to come back and complete my soul mission here. Since then, I've been given access to the Akashic Records, so I can tap into anyone, anything, any place. Psychokinesis, telekinesis, telepathy, all of that. And I'm an empath, an intuitive. Yeah, so it's strange. It's strange. The last 24 hours, for me, energetically, I feel like I'm in between timelines. And I didn't really know what I wanted to talk about. And I was just like, I'm just going to share whatever it is my soul has to speak once people are on here. And so this is where I'm being directed to share that as we connect, I say, thank you for that. Blessings, 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 blessings. So we're multidimensional right now, existing. There are many timelines that are merging, and each and every decision that you make determines which timeline you drop your anchor into. So I want to demystify 3D, 4D, 5D. So the third dimension is the dimension in which many of us were born into. This is the dimension of societal conditioning, the dimension of education. This is the dimension of religion, most religions. Everything was catered to keep us in a state of not enoughness. We were raised by people who likely were not liberated souls. They had not accessed sovereignty. So a lot of us were raised with a mindset. We felt the oppression. Maybe we felt some stuff that was off. Maybe we never really fit in. Maybe we kind of felt disconnected from the family. Maybe we were black sheeps. Maybe we weren't. Maybe everybody liked us, but we weren't being our true self. So there's many different ways we coped with the 3D. Fast forward to 2012. In 2011, this was 2 years after my second near-death experience. For 6 years before that, ever since YouTube first started, I started uploading my dreams and visions of the future. I was so fucking sure. I was a Christian at the time, but I was really, really fucking sure that where we were headed, I was given a map. And I went back to those videos, and the timeline is accurate. So everything that I teach, everything that I share, everything that I do is from that multi-dimensional space of helping souls transition from the 3D societal subconscious programming, which everybody has had on some level, to get to creating your own spiritual sense of self, creating your own soul's mission that's sovereign and not connected to anyone else, anybody else's belief, anybody else's expectations and standards of you. A lot of us come from families that had expectations and standards, and I failed. I failed. I did not do what a lot of people expected me to do because I started healing. And as I started healing, I began to see in between timelines, and I could feel when a decision was going to lead me on a timeline of lower density existence in the 3D. This is when you feel heavy, you feel dense. Oftentimes, you are in a dark night of the soul. You feel polarity. Everything is duality. Shit is either good or bad. There's no in between. And in that space, you feel this inner conflict when your soul is being called to wake up, right? So this is an uncomfortable space to be in, because most of the time the people that we're in relationships with or work with or go to school with, whatever it may be, they don't really understand. And so you begin to feel like you're a lone wolf, and you walk in this journey, you're awakening. It's really hard to explain, to people what's happening to you. So in the past, when you start shifting from 3D, 4D is the astral realm. This is the realm that holds all of your thoughts, everything that you ever thought, and it's programming the quantum field around you. So once you start ascending, waking up, coming out of the programs, what happens is you feel the contrast. You feel the duality. You feel it more than you ever felt it before. You don't feel like you really mesh in the life that you're living. It may be certain aspects of your life that feel good to you, but it's some aspects where you're like, I know this is not supposed to be what I'm experiencing. I know that there's something so much greater for me to be experiencing or doing, right? So this is the 4D. You're dealing with the thoughts. You're dealing with the thoughts of your bloodline lineage, not just yours, but your lineage. So if in your family, a poverty mindset of feeling like it's just not enough, maybe you heard things like, we don't have enough money for that. Maybe you grew up and you didn't have food. This is a lot of our experiences. So you might have a poverty mindset that's been passed down generationally. So all of a sudden now, those thoughts create thought forms. And so these are like unseen, energetic astral bodies that you are interacting with throughout your day. It's in your quantum field, your aura, your consciousness. So as you're dealing with that, you're learning how to navigate that. You're also learning how to access your higher mind, which is the divine self, the I divine self. Some people call it the higher self. Religions call it the Holy Spirit. This is the part of your essence that's whole. So you begin tapping into a different perspective. You can feel it. You're drawn to people and videos and certain websites, and you feel the change, and you feel a resonance, right, when you listen to certain information. So this is the I divine self speaking to you. You're paying attention to synchronicities now. You're seeing the numbers, right? They're repeating. You're like, what does that mean? Why do I keep seeing this? I keep saying 444. For me in 2011, right before 2012, it was 444. I got a whole note about it where I was breaking down because I had just had a pericardial window put into my heart because I had pericardial effusion. And if you know the story of Christ had a spear pierced in his heart through his side, and his heart was leaking fluid and blood. That was happening to me. So I was going through a Christos consciousness awakening, and I was a Christian, and I didn't know what was happening to me. I had a little bit of metaphysics to pull from. So I started doing research, and I started learning that I was walking in between dimensions. I was shifting from third dimension to fourth dimension, and I'm dealing with the thought forms. I'm dealing with my ghost, right? My ghost. My ghosts are the decisions that I made in the past that are still affecting me today. My ghosts are the way I raised my children, and now I'm seeing the fruits of that. That's my ghost, right? So I'm having to learn how to be with myself, even though what's showing up seems to be negative, dark, bad, all of that. My self esteem like plummeted. I still have low self esteem from time to time, you know. I'm human, it happens. And so as I'm going through these different dimensions, I started accessing 5D. And 5D is when Abraham Hicks talk about the vortex. You're locked in, you see the synchronicities, your spirit animals and insects, like they around you, they reminding you who you are. Your soul is speaking to you through everything around you. I sit and like I stare into my crystals, right? And let my crystals speak to me. They're sentient, just like Mother Earth is. You can even scry into the obsidian crystal that we sell on the website. Scry into that, because the eyes are the windows to the soul. When you are not really sure of which timeline you're on, you're not really sure what steps and decisions it's going to take to create this life you desire to have, then that's when you tap into your soul. That's when you begin listening and paying attention to and feeling for your spirit to send resonance to you, transmissions. You begin picking up channeled messages. You watch TV and you'll see an ad on TV and it just speaks to you. You're like, that's confirmation. I'm supposed to study whatever. So this is, you're interacting with your quantum field to choose a higher vibration, to choose something that's connecting you to joy, to bliss, to peace, to serenity. And once I started learning how to navigate that, I'm taking notes along the way. I started doing readings. So I'm working with people all around the world taking notes, and I'm paying attention to the common denominators. So I began creating this map of awakening, which is the 3D Matrix Detox course. 3D Matrix Detox can't even really describe what's in this course, but I began connecting with my past lives. So I knew that I was detoxing the third dimensional programming because now I'm aware of my past lives, right? And there is a ceremony that you can do to call back memory to your past lives and to also clear the karmic debt of those past lives that's in the course. So as I'm learning these things along the way, I knew it was important for me to document this and keep this. My goal is to leave this world better than what it was when I was born in this incarnation. And that's a huge mission to say that this is that thing for me and this is what I'm determined to do. Because when you access 5D, the potentials and the possibilities begin to unravel like a lotus flower, and you're getting ideas, and all of a sudden you're going through these periods of rebirth where you don't know who you are. You're not really quite sure how you want to dress. You don't know if do you want to be in a relationship, do I not, do I want to be gay? Do I want to be straight? Am I bisexual? I really don't know. What do I want? Do I want to be vegan anymore? Or do I want to try the carnivore diet? Like, it's crazy. And when this is happening to you, you're accessing the different aspects of you, the different facets and fragments of your soul. So in the 3D matrix, what happens, the way we get put into the artificial womb matrix, which is everything that's around us in the physical form, what happens is our soul fragments. And so there are pieces of you fragmented all across the world that you identify and connect with in others. So this is what we call resonance, right? And oftentimes you feel like what you're experiencing is you. Even though you're listening to this teacher to learn this and do this, you still feel like there's a resonance and like, I'm vibing with this, right? So like Bob Proctor, and listen to him talk about abundance. Neville Goddard listening to Bobby Hennett talk about the many different ways the spiritual realm penetrates the physical. I mean, it was so many influences coming in for me, but I was constantly getting synchronicities, constantly getting confirmation along the way. What happens is once you hit that octave, you're gonna come down eventually. You're not gonna go up there in 5D and stay there. Not right now. We're meant to fluctuate because it is in the fluctuations that we begin to identify what our authentic self really is. And this is where we are. And unfortunately, a lot of us have internalized the people that traumatized us. A lot of us internalized the narcissistic relationships that we were in, and we became hypercritical of ourselves. A lot of us are empaths and might not know that we're absorbing people's pain. Everybody we've ever spoke to, everybody we've ever been in a relationship with, in some aspect, if you are an empath, it is likely that you have tried to take people's pain, but you're taking it onto yourself, right? And this happens to you. It happened to me so much. Everybody in my life, I was absorbing their pain. I was attracted to people who were in pain because there was an aspect of my existence that I knew could help them to heal. But it wasn't my job to heal them. I was only there to facilitate, to inspire, to speak to. But because I had not had the proper training, I wasn't being consistent in meditation and breath work and yoga and stretching, releasing tension from my body, exercising, eating intuitively, not going by what the next fad is in the trend. Like, what does my body need? Lately, I've been eating meat, and that was a big deal. I used to cry when I ate meat. I felt so bad for the animal. I would absorb the animal's last moments. And it might be a few days before I realized what was happening to me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I feel the grief that the animal that I ate felt. Like, that was a really, really real thing for me. But if you've got feelings coming from everywhere, it's kind of difficult to pinpoint where it's coming from. So if it's somebody in your life that triggers these core wounds inside of you, what will happen is you will begin to see them as the villain, right? And this is the drama triangle. In personal development and psychology, it talks about the drama triangle. And this is basically when you position someone as the villain, there is a victim and there is a hero, right? And so these three main archetypes is what we shift into when we drop into density, when we drop into 3D, when we become less aware, less mindful of what's happening in the moment, especially when you're triggered. So this is what was happening for me. And it was really difficult for me to pinpoint what was what. So I just started cutting stuff out of my life, being more consistent with my ceremonies. And I know I'm not the only one here. Have any of y'all? Yes, yes, that's why we experience extreme depression. Absolutely. So let me tell you the key and the anger. Yeah, I absorb people's anger, especially if it's repressed anger. Oh, that just sticks to me. It's just like Velcro and cotton. It sticks to me. So what helps this is stepping outside of yourself and observing yourself, right? So in the moment when you feel that trigger, that sensation, connecting with whatever that sensation is, do you feel like you're heating up? Does it feel like you're getting cold? Does it feel like you're getting tired? Are you getting a headache? All of these are signs that you're absorbing negative energy, right? On top of the negative energy that you already have, you're processing within this incarnation. Because if you're watching me, that's what you agreed to do. You agreed to step out of the artificial womb matrix to experience feelings and emotions, the traumas that program them in you, and to find ways to release them. So what I did was I started to not only study metaphysics, but when you truly, this is my humble opinion, when you are truly seeking to be whole, when you are truly seeking to be the chosen one that you feel you have been called to be, you will find yourself being less judgmental towards certain practices. So for me, coming out of Christianity, I became a Hebrew Israelite, practiced very devoutly. I knew that I was shifting into these practices because it was a part of my spiritual journey to identify what resonates with my soul. And so I worked with left hand path practitioners, brought some of them on here on the channel, and most people was like, "Whoa, why would you do that?" But I'm like, "Do you do like?" The way that we got here is by denying the darkness, by denying the trauma, by denying the pain. And I had so much pain and suffering trapped inside of me. It was no way I was gonna just love and light this shit all the way out. I was like, wait a minute. I need to do some research and understand the subconscious mind. So I studied Carl Jung, was one of the first ones to understand the subconscious mind. And then I began to study the dark feminine and the dark goddesses to understand, why do they devour negative energy? What is this thing? They all look like real scary and cutting off heads. I was like, what is this about? I approached it with curiosity versus judgment, because when you approach something with judgment, you're basically being in arrogance, and you're giving the meaning of something an assumption in which you have not researched, or you have not researched without bias. So I tapped into my inner child, which is the part of me that is curious, and I approached everything with curiosity. And what I came to the conclusion is that the middle path just feels best for me, but I can shift whenever I need to. So when I feel like I am absorbing a lot of negative energy, I can work with the dark feminine archetype so that I can release that. When I feel the anger starting to just bog me down, I can feel it in my body. I can hear it in my tone and my voice. Sometimes I'll say something to the kids and that shit just come out real wrong. It just be angry as hell. I'd be like, baby, I really don't know why I'm so upset right now. Mama going through something. Let me clear myself, and we'll come back and we'll try this again. You know, so as I went through these many spiritual systems, mystical systems, occult, gnosis, hermeticism, ancient Kemet, I studied the Orishas, I studied many of the Hindu mythologies as well. I mean, there is no limit to what I was going to study, because I did not want to be biased in my approach to healing, to self mastery. So for me, what was missing in the psychology realm was it just felt like all logic. And I needed something that was accessing my subconscious mind, which is the mystical spiritual path. So in doing that, I was able to connect with these archetypes that kind of teach me and walk me through timelines. So yesterday, as this was right before Venus moving into Leo, which is happening today, and we also have the full moon, which was in Sagittarius. As we were making this shift, I could feel the timelines collapsing again. That's a positive thing because it creates a portal. And so the decisions that you make, the conversations that you have, the way that you think, and the tone that you use becomes the blueprint in which your life will be expressed. That's huge. And in these moments, you will find yourself not having faith, maybe in things that you used to have faith in. And if you, like me, have a tendency to be a perfectionist, that's a terrible feeling, because I make potions and elixirs, I make herbal tonics and tinctures. I study the elements, I study the plants, I study nature, right? I'm working with all these different things, but I have some moments where I don't believe in myself. I don't believe in nothing. I'm like, that don't work. That don't work. I just be in a funk, right? And I don't have faith in anything. And so I was judging that phase in my spiritual awakening, and I didn't realize the value that that phase offered me, because in that phase I can get clarity on what do I really resonate with, though. You know, because if I really resonate with something, Even if the faith leaves in working with whatever that modality is, it will come back to me. It's like that love that you meant to have. If it's meant to be, it will come back to you. And it's the same way with whatever methodology, mythology, methodology that we use to connect with the divine. So, with this being said, I want you to really pay attention and observe yourself. The OBB strategy that I created is based in observation. That's the very first practice to master yourself, is to observe with curiosity. Allow your inner child to do what maybe your inner child did not get to do and explore. Observe everything and everyone with curiosity. Refrain from criticism and judgment. Now, this doesn't mean that people won't feel like they're being criticized by you. Because oftentimes, when you're starting to tap into a higher timeline, the octaves change in your harmonic frequency of your galactic signature. And as this is happening, you can begin to feel like a microscope to people, and people feel like they can't hide anything from you, and they may get easily irritated and annoyed at that when it's happening. It's not personal. It's not personal on their end, and it's not personal on yours. It just happens. It's our human nature kicking in, and it's like your boss standing over your shoulder watching you the whole time. He already done told you what needed to be done. He already know that you know how to do it, but he's standing over your shoulder. Like, why are you standing right over my shoulder, right? It's like walking into the beauty supply store and they following you, and you like, why are you watching me, right? It's that feeling. Nobody likes that feeling. So we want to get away from judgment, because as much as you judge other people, you can likely multiply that times two, and that's how much your inner critic is judging you. When you start to have more curiosity and less judgment, like externally, it's because you're cleaning yourself up in the inside. You're doing the inner work, the inner soul work. That ultimately is what we call unconditional love. It's being able to observe, not have a judgment. Just I see it. I see it. And I'm not going to categorize what I'm saying, right? Because it really is narcissism when we shift into categorizing other people's actions and behaviors and tones, oftentimes without even asking them if that's what it is. Now, if you're an energy reader and you got like what 99.9% you're right, that's kind of different. And it's kind of like that for me, but that is unfortunate. Please, nobody get excited about this. I don't like it. I don't like reading energy so well. I can read energy that the person who I'm observing they're not even picking up on it. And it may be minutes or hours or days or even months before that thing I'm picking up on actually manifests in 3D, in the physical realm, because I'm interacting with the Akashic record. I'm interacting with the quantum field around them. So these are thoughts that have been there in the subconscious mind, maybe haven't created something on the outside yet, but I'm picking up on it. And it's not, I can't think of one time that I've been wrong. I just sit and cry sometimes, because I also see some of the difficulties that people are going to experience down the road. And I have a heart of gold. And so I feel things very deeply. As a recovering codependent, which basically means because of narcissistic abuse, my coping mechanism was to make sure everybody in my house was okay so that I could feel okay, right? Even if that meant whatever it meant. It was whatever. I was ride or die. It was by any means necessary, get it done. And I sacrificed myself. I became a sacrificial lamb, and I took care of people so well, but I wasn't taking care of me. So observing helped me to pull my energy back into myself and to trust that whatever the path is that I see, whether they see it or not, it's still divine. It's no less divine. See, the thing we have to get over is oftentimes people who are having a negative reaction and it feels like it has something to do with us, if the first thing that you could teach yourself to think when you're observing, which is, this ain't personal. It might feel like it, but it's not personal. This person is hurting, just like I have core wounds. It's not personal. And I say this in my mind over and it is not personal, right? Like, I'm okay that you're not okay with me right now. I can be okay even though you're not okay with me, because I'm okay with me. You drop your anchor there and observe. Somebody can be yelling at you, screaming at you, cussing at you, and you be like, you know, yeah, I see you, I hear you. And then you cut it off when it gets to be too much. This is when boundaries become the spiritual protective circle around you. See, ceremonial magic is symbolic of life.
Battery low.
And in ceremonial magic, what we're supposed to do before we begin our working, we create a ceremonial circle to contain the working that we're doing, to contain the energy that we're investing into with intention. Now, in life, boundaries act as the ceremonial circle, right? To protect the soul work that you're doing. So, this is when you say, you're entitled to feel however you feel, and I'm entitled to protect myself because I don't feel comfortable with you right now. And you're not triggered. That calmness may be triggering to them, because if they feed on attention, even if it's negative attention, is better than nothing. Some of us as kids didn't get any attention unless it was negative. This is why a 2-year-old will throw a cup of juice down on the floor, looking you dead in your eyes. I love toddlers, right? Like, they so connected to themselves. Like, they just authentic. Like, come on, what you go do now? Right? And if you don't react, then they might get upset and fall out on the floor, right? But there is a power in being able to create a boundary. So you don't have to push back. You don't have to get caught up in a drama triangle with them based on Cartman's methodology, which is all of this that I'm talking about. If any of this is new to you, like, this is in all of the courses, right? So what happens is you create that boundary around the work that you're doing on yourself. Now, get this. Once you do that, being able to observe the way it affects people in your life, that's going to protect you. So the O in OBB, the letter O, holds the symbolic energy of a ceremonial circle of protection, right? And it's really interesting because when I created OBB, this was in the middle of meditation. And I create meditations almost every single day for whatever it is that I need. And that O, I kept saying the O in meditation, but I didn't know what it was symbolic of or what it meant. And so just recently, actually, I looked up the etymology and symbology of the letter O, and there was so many profound things that I was finding. And I realized that OBB is just as multidimensional and multifaceted as our soul's essence is. It's profound. And soon I'm going to put together the breakdown of OBB and the power this word holds. Because the power that has been sucked from us, the life force that has been drained from us to not be connected to our sense of self and individuated and not having to people please, not being afraid of what people think. The world would be so much better if we would just approach life without thinking about what people think. And as crazy as that might sound, because I know it sounds like a whole I don't give a fuck vibe, and that's exactly what it is, but it serves a purpose. That's also spiritual protection. That's the law of detachment. I'm just going to detach from what I think people think, and I'm going to do what I feel I should be doing, right? That's self trust. Yeah, it might rock some boats. It might, yeah, it might. But you cannot live to try to keep everybody happy. Trust me, I tried and I almost killed myself doing it. So the O in OBB holds that essence of protection. The B represents the observe. And if you think about the letter B, you also see two circles, right? You also see a line. And that line can represent the linear timeline that we're on, and the two circles represents time is radial, right? And two circles, think about yin and yang. So this is holding the duality of masculine and feminine. So you're bringing yourself into oneness when you're practicing observation. And once you begin getting more attuned to shifting into that first, you will be triggered less. You will become a creator of your reality by managing and regulating your own emotions and no one else's. And you will also get more comfortable with other people's emotional intensity, which is difficult for those of us who are healing from trauma. I studied the mystical arts, spirituality, and metaphysics because I wanted to heal trauma. And as I said, psychology, logical reasoning, that just wasn't getting it for me. I was like, it's so much more to who I am and reprogramming myself. I need it all. So as we shift into that with the OBB, now we have the second B, right? OBEBE. That next, yes, sweetie. You need something? You need something? Oh, you want to say hello?
Hello. Hello,
Lean
guys.
in. Say hello.
Hello.
Okay. So, that's not my princess. My little princess. So, with the OBB, so much that I could say right now. I'm trying to keep this short because I've been here longer than I was supposed to. With the OBB, now you're becoming the observer. You're detaching from the experience of your trauma so that you can isolate what no longer serves. Observe, right? So you're observing what serves and what doesn't. As you do this, you will start to see the imprint in other people that's in you. You know, that one that manifests stuff and we don't know why stuff is not manifesting where we want it to. You know, those subconscious programs that kind of sneak up on you and you're like, oh, I thought I was done with poverty, but I had a poverty mindset around this. Or, you know, we have these subconscious beliefs and they appear that way. So you start to see it reflecting in other people. So let's just say you have a tendency where you're put under pressure that you shift into victim mentality in the drama triangle. I usually would shift to victim, right? So I'm helpless, learn helplessness. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help myself. So now that I feel that sense of victimhood, I feel powerless. Well, what created this? Words. Words created it all. It was the words. There are things that was said to you that you never forgot. And you may not remember who said it to you, but it was the words. It was the time that you got your heart broke and you said, you know what? I'm not never falling in love again. I'm done. You created a contract. You created a thought form to be re-experienced in your auric field. So as we're being activated, our DNA is changing. It's growing strands. Hello. This is why all of a sudden we feel telepathic, because sometimes you are really picking up on thoughts coming from other people, certain groups of people sometimes. Sometimes this is really happening. And you got to be able to shift into your toolkit to deal with these things. We only thought about the superhero part, right? I talk about turning his shadows into superpowers. So, but with that increased ability comes more responsibility and accountability as well. And that's the part that a lot of us are lacking. And what happens is this internal dialogue that I'm not enough, I'm not good enough. And if you all are liking this, don't forget to hit the like. It really helps the algorithm. I don't say it enough, so I'm saying it. It helps. Please do that. And if you want to give donations, I prefer you just send it to the links that's in the description. And if it's not here, I will make sure it's here, but it's definitely on the website. Because somebody sometimes don't send the money that you all send, and it seems like it takes forever to get it. I don't know why, but it happens. So what happens is these words are creating an emotion. This word is creating an energy around us, right? So I'm in victimhood. Now, when I go on a date, let's just say I'm going out on a date, right? That person I'm going on a date with is going to get on that drama triangle if they're not somebody who is above the veil of consciousness, who holds themselves in mindfulness and awareness 24/7. And most people don't. You know, it's almost impossible to do it while you sleep. But I'm talking about in your waking hours. So you might find yourself attracting narcissists because narcissists love bleeding victims. I mean, what better to a narcissist than a bleeding victim? Because you're going to go out of your way to please them. So now, by law of attraction, law of magnetism, your polarity has shifted into the lower density. You're automatically going to have lower density situations, lower density people, lower density stuff go happen that you can't afford to pay for. And in that moment, you have a timeline available to you based on how you respond. You could say, I'm a victim, or you could choose to say, I'm a creator of my reality. I'm not sure how, but I know that I'm a creator of my reality. That's all you have to do. You're using your words to serve you instead of doing injustice to you. So, okay, this is the OBB. Now, the last portion of OBB, because I just described to you the energy when it starts to get in motion, right? This is what creates our interactions. It's the energy. Everything is frequency, energy, and vibration. Those three things. And if you can find a way to navigate and work with those three things, you can create the life to be anything that you want it to be. I'm telling you. Now, of course, I'm so ambitious. I'm constantly reaching higher. And yes, I am scared. I don't know for sure if this version of Camson is going to continue, but I'm comfortable with my transformation. I'm so comfortable that I allow it to be seen publicly. And as much courage as it takes, I have to work on it. It's not something that I just wake up and it's sprinkled on me. Courage is not being sprinkled on me. I wish it could sprinkle, sprinkle. I have to work for this. I have to observe. I have to focus on my energy. What am I giving out? It's not what I'm saying, not what I'm wearing, not the way that I look. What is my energy communicating? Because that's going to create what I attract. So what happens is this energy that's in motion, if I'm unaware of it, then I'm going to create more unawareness. The universe will always give you whatever it is you focus on the most. So now I'm noticing the things that I cannot change because I wanted to be an observer, right? I wanted to be aware. So I'm noticing like, oh my goodness, this thing about me, it seems like I can't change it. This thing about this person definitely seems like I can't change it. Well, what am I going to do now? Because I want to fix. Most of us trauma created the fixer, right? I want to fix things. People tell you a problem and you jump straight to offering advice. And they hadn't even asked advice. They might just want to vent. That's me, right? I got like 3 or 4 solutions for every problem, like queued up and ready to go. Like, I got you. And I had to step back because I was leaking energy and it wasn't being asked for. So I was arrogantly stepping all over somebody else's journey with what I think they should do without even asking them, is that why you're telling me this? Or do you just want for me to be a listening ear? This is maturity, right? Emotional maturity. This is wisdom. This incense smells so good. Y'all need to get into that spiritual shop. We got incense, like stuff that you don't usually see anywhere. Super special stuff. You want to make your space feel sacred, you know. And if you're on this spiritual journey, you want to have as many spiritual tools as possible because you never know what's going to happen in this underworld. You never know what you're going to need. So yeah, check out our spiritual shop, y'all. So much stuff in there that can really, really be groundbreaking for you to help you stay anchored in the consciousness that you want to be in. So with that being said, I'm working with energy. I'm observing. I'm noticing what I cannot control. When I cannot control something, I have a bucket list and I have a fuck it list. Once it's on my fuck it list, I'm not doing it no more. Boundary. I will observe, protect, but I'm not going to do it anymore. And so as I'm observing and I see that I can't control it, fuck it. Let it go. It takes work. It don't just happen like magic. You might need to burn some sage or some Palo Santo to release. You might need a spiritual bath to release. It might be a meditation for you. Maybe chanting will help you. Working with sound healing may help you. I use it all. Like I said, I don't discriminate. If it's something that's going to help me on my journey, and if I'm better to everybody I'm connected to. And ultimately, my heart desires that. That is that one thing that my heart always desires, is to better the lives of people I interact with. I don't want to be the point of trauma, right? So once you do that, and I break this down in the course, and I'm gonna go deeper because the bucket list, there are very specific steps that you can go through to work with your bucket list and get there. And like I said, you're creating compartments to contain these things that you're observing, because otherwise you just go feel like you just in eternal chaos all the time, right? And there's never no order. You can bring order to chaos. You absolutely can bring order to chaos. Maybe not change everything, but by controlling itself you bring order to it. So as I'm creating OBB, right, I'm noticing that I'm having more out of body experiences when I sleep. When you activate the ability to observe, you're automatically conjuring your I divine self to like sit here. See, a lot of us, that essence, it doesn't come here. Because if you're in a funky place, if you're in the dark night of the soul moment, like your I divine self, it's gonna be right there with you always. But you won't feel it in your physical body. When you're feeling bliss, when you feel joy, when you feel peace, happiness, those moments when things light you up, you feel lit up because your I divine self is like existing within the physical body with you. Because the temple supports our I divine self is pure life force. So if something is cut off, it can't be in oneness with us to navigate the 3D world. And that's when we get bogged down with depression. We get bogged down with anxiety. We're not grounded. And when you don't have clarity, it's easy for it to happen. But again, just can you not judge? This is the no judgment challenge. The OBB challenge is no judgment, practicing being the observer. And I have some bomb ass journal prompts in there that when you ask the right question, when you ask the question that resonates with the mission that is in front of you, in which your soul desires to navigate with you, then that's when the I divine self is like, now I can talk to you because you're asking the right questions. Any guru, any story that we have ever read about philosophy, spirituality, there are these questions and it almost seemed like a riddle, right? Why is that? That helps us to transcend the mundane and get to the root of it. This is why journal prompts are so powerful, just as powerful as affirmations. You create your affirmations from asking the questions that you actually need to ask to get to the next level in your journey. So that's what's in the OBB challenge. Now, the last portion of this, once this energy in motion, it's not triggering you to go into a space that you don't desire to be in. Now, I get in negative spaces, but I go there with awareness. When I'm depressed, I'm like, I'm going to sit here right here with you and hold you and feel this. When I'm angry, I'm going to be right here with you because when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to really feel my anger. I don't want to do that to you because that's self betrayal. I'm going to do whatever I got to do to be right here with you. Right? You big mad or little mad, what we go do? We go put our head under some water and scream. We go get in the car and scream, go out to the woods, we go beat up a pillow. Like what do we can do something that's safe, right? This is you learning how to honor these parts of you that are wounded. Because a lot of times with the world, social media, people want to show you the sparkly parts of their life. And when you see the sparkly parts of their life, it makes you feel worse about yours, right? So my goal is to show it all. And I have people say to me, well, maybe you shouldn't do that. It might be hurting me, might be helping me in other people's perception. But to me, that's what I desire. I desire to see it all. I feel a little less lonely. And I feel like somebody understands me. So if that gives me that feeling, then I'm going to become that in which feels me and speaks to my soul. It's food for my soul, right? So you're practicing being that. Once you're doing that, the synchronicities will get deeper. And when I say deeper, I mean they will penetrate through the realm of whatever you're experiencing. And you will find yourself attracting more money. You will find yourself experiencing relationships in a healthier way, even though the relationship probably hasn't changed, but you're changing. And once you change your vibration, you affect everything that touches your auric field. When I go places, 7, 8, 9 cars like will pull up like right after me. It was nobody there but me. That's energy in motion. That's magnetism. Other people are attracted. And I know that might sound a little narcissistic. It is what it is. I'm not here to prove whether or not I'm a narcissist or not, because of course I got narcissistic characteristics. I was raised in a narcissistic society. Who don't? But I know when my energy is magnetically attracting more people. I can stand on a corner and just be talking to homeless people. And the next thing I know, it's a crowd. This happens to me, and it's not intentional. I go to Walmart, and I end up having a whole powwow in Walmart just being myself, right? And it feels so good. So I'm not trying to be validated. I'm not trying to get energy externally that I'm not giving myself, right? Because as I observe, I'm retaining my own power. I'm not giving it away. And in this space, so many things shift. I have healed a lot of physical diseases that I haven't really talked about. I talk about when I'm going through some stuff, y'all know. I tell y'all, look, I had surgery, I'm recovering. It's going to be a few days before we get up and going, yada, yada, yada. Y'all know. But what I don't talk about enough is the amazing, miraculous things that happen from using the OBB strategy. And one of those things was recently, and I do want to get medical records just so I could post them, because for me, authenticity and being genuine and sincere is like priority always for me. But I went back to the doctor, to the eye doctor. I had eye surgery 2 years ago. I was going blind. And I had neovascularization of my eyes, which is something that is an occurrence of sickle cell where there are hemorrhages in the back of the eyes. And so this is why we lose our eyesight. So I had the surgery 2 years ago. I have to go back every year to get rechecked. Well, I could feel this happening again in my eyes when I would scan my body. Went to the eye doctor just to get my glasses, and she's like, yeah, you got some more neovascularization in the left eye and the peripheral vision. And I was like, yeah, I know. That's why I'm here. I was like, I actually told the lady at the front desk to make a note about it because I can feel them having some trouble. And she was like, most people can't feel that. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, it hurts. And it's very similar to when you get sand in your eye at the beach. And that's how my eyes feel, even though there's nothing in my eyes. And she's like, that's so interesting. I've never known anybody that could feel this. They usually don't know until I tell them. So she was like, I would recommend you go back and see the surgeon immediately. So I was like, okay, I will give them a call today. I already had an appointment scheduled anyway for my yearly exam. And on the way home, I'm driving and I'm like, I'm not on the timeline of going blind. No, I am not. That's not the timeline I'm on. And I knew as long as I kept my mind's eye focused on the timeline that I'm on, and I didn't allow anything to make me doubt it, I knew that it would heal. I knew that it would heal. Did I have moments where I was like, that OBB shit? I mean, it worked for that, but it might not work for this because this is a physical manifestation. I'm like, well, if it helps me to transcend my trauma and turn it into triumph, why can't it heal my eyes, right? So I'm challenging the inner critic, in a peaceful way. You don't want to pull up on your ego being all mean, because the ego is a whole kid with throw a tantrum, okay? But I'm just like, okay, I hear you, I observe, I see you. But I really do believe this from the bottom of my heart. And you know, I'm gonna go with what my heart is saying. So they told me, you know what, we'll be able to squeeze you in. So it was a 2 week time period. So this is 13 days of straight. There's a potential for me to feel really, really depressed because I'm back at this space again after all the hard work that I've done by believing that I'm going to have surgery again. It may or may not work. And there's also a potential timeline of this is going to be a story that I'm going to tell. It's going to inspire and touch other people. I wanted it to inspire and touch other people. And so that's what I shifted into. And whenever I would feel myself slipping off of the road, I'm like, no, pull back in my lane. This is where I belong. I'm a healer. This is what I came here to do, to heal thyself. This is where I belong. And I was committed. Commitment. Commitment will give you what nothing else will. Commitment will bring you what people, what money, connections, what nothing else will. Commitment and the discipline to just hold that vibration the best that you can. And when you cannot hold that vibration, step outside yourself and just become the observer. And when I would shift into that negative space and doubting whether or not me using this strategy was going to shift my quantum field so that I could access these new neural synapses within my brain like trees as a tree of life and grow new ways of perceiving and interacting with the world, I was like, my eyes can heal. This can happen. So 13 days from that first day, went in to see her. I prepared myself for either way. I was like, if she tell me that we got to do this again, may or may not work, I'm still okay. If she tell me that I heal, I'm still okay. I didn't want to put too many eggs in neither basket. I'm just going to equalize this, stay middle path. I'm okay no matter what, because I am not this body. And having chronic illness and chronic fatigue and things like that, that is a gateway into a deeper sense of your spirituality. It doesn't have to be something that pulls you away from your sense of spirituality. It can be something that actually takes you deeper into your spirituality. And so for me, that's what I use. I use those shadow things to access what I call superpowers, but what it really is just your spiritual abilities. So I'm sitting there and they're like, okay, we're going to dilate you now. So they put the drops in, I'm dilated. I can't see my text messages. So I'm really having to just be with myself, right? Because having these phones and the whole world at our fingertips, it is, I definitely see the psychological effect of that. And it's definitely destroying our connection with ourselves and each other because, you know, I can pick up my phone and access anything in the world. Like, why do I even need to have a face-to-face conversation with this person? And a lot of times we're not doing that as much. So I'm sitting there and being with myself. It was difficult, even though I do media detoxes from time to time. Even though I run a business, I have to for my mental health. And so I'm sitting there and being with myself, and I'm like, okay, I'm all right either way. I'm all right either way. So I had put Pandora on. I'm playing me some neo soul, rocking me some music in my headphones. I'm like keeping my vibe where I want it to be. So when I went back there, I was so shocked, but she was just like, Miss Jackson. She walked in with a huge smile. What have you been doing? And I said, well, I've been practicing metacognition, which is me addressing my thoughts so that I'm creating the energy that's desirable for me. And I've been meditating, breath work, and getting acupuncture. And she said, okay. And I was like, okay, just tell me what it is you're finna tell me. I'm ready for it either way, you know. And she was like, well, you don't have any hemorrhaging. I was like, none? She was like, none. She said, I'll look again. I was like, okay. She looked again. She said, perfection. Not one speck of blood. I'm sitting there. And it took me a minute, you know. I took it all in. I took a long sigh and I was like, I'm so grateful to hear this. And she said to me, I've never had a patient tell me that they had an experience like this before. She hugged me so tight because she know my story. And she knows how difficult it is to have all the ambition that I have, desire to do and touch the lives of the people. I want this to grow. It's a few of us here now, but I know this is going to grow like crazy because I'm staying in integrity. I be wanting to not be in integrity. I ain't gonna lie. I be wanting to jump on the next trend, do what everybody else doing. You know, people are so hungry for attention from people because this feels really good, right? Um, and sometimes you step out of integrity because you're getting more views. So I don't get that many views, but I'm in integrity, so it's all good, right? It's all great. And so I hugged her again, and she just held me with. We had tears in our eyes, and she said, "I love who you are. Continue to be who you are, and I see great things coming to you." And I walked up out of there. Y'all should see me coming up out of there. I was like, I was on cloud nine. And I was just like, I healed my eyes with this. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. It works. So this was my first time having a physical transformation by using this. So after that, I was just like, it's time to post it. I hadn't published it. I had it sitting there for years. I worked with stuff for years because I'm like, y'all will be like, okay, she capping. This don't work, and this is real simple and basic. It's not gonna work. So I use it in a lot of different ways, and I be super patient, and I do be wanting to rush it out because I'm like, I want to give it to him, and I just waited, and here we are. So the BB challenge is there. Y'all tap into that. We got a Michael Jackson in here. Ashe. A Martin Jackson too. What's up with all these Jacksons putting up in here? Y'all are Camson Jackson. I mean, what we doing? We Jackson 5ing it tonight. Let me see what y'all got going on in the chat. Y'all all right out there? I hope that I touched y'all and that maybe you feel something that you were not feeling before that's positive for you. But when I get up in 5D like this, I'm going live. I'm going live. I can be just waking up. I can have crumbs in my eyes, whatever. Like y'all already know what it be. I be in the bed early in the morning, recording videos, and it just it's beautiful to have been through so much and to be able to be still in my heart. You know, just because your heart got broke a lot don't mean that you're broken. And without cracks, how does the light ever get in? You know? And would we see stars in all their glory if there wasn't darkness? And that's why I got this tattoo. Stars need darkness to shine. And I realized like the dark is not the problem. It's our avoidance of the dark because we don't know how to navigate it. You are your own light. The more you know that you are your own light, the more that you will go into the dark spaces. And in those dark caves, it's always jewels. Mastering yourself is learning yourself. Not the parts of you that you like because it's sparkly and pretty, but the parts of you that you don't. And being able to hug that part of you. Being able to no longer feel ashamed of that part of you. You know, I lost 50 pounds, and with that 50 pounds, I lost all of my booty. And growing up black in the South, if you ain't got no booty, you ain't eating enough. Everybody want to feed you. Come on, baby, you need to get some of these greens and this cornbread, baby. You need to eat. And you know, I was skinny growing up, so it's like I didn't want to deal with it. And you know, now I find myself being like, like why? I'm a whole asset. I don't have to have ass as an asset, right? I realized it was an opportunity for me to be liberated from something that we've been programmed to press on to each other. And people are losing their lives trying to change their bodies to fit what society is saying is the new thing to do. So I'm grateful for it all. That could be considered to be some darkness about low self-esteem. You know, I wear my stretch marks proudly. I love my children and my grandson, and however it changed my body, it was worth it for them to come here through me. So that's special. And thank you to whoever gave me that donation. I didn't see it when it popped up. I was in the zone and channeling, but thank you so much. Next to the 66, may that return to you. So yeah. That's okay, baby. Oh, my daughter. Um, so Obibi is more common. That is also a Nigerian word, Japanese as well, and there are many other etymologies. I will be getting into that. The simplicity is key. If you're healing trauma, complex things, it's just you're not going to stay committed to it. You're not going to be consistent in it. I have found that in everything that I have tried. But if you could find something that's simple, it's easier to stick with it because it's not overwhelming for you to get started. And a lot of times we get started, but we don't finish. So, keep that in mind. It's not just you. And turning shadows into superpowers, maybe that sounds a little bit too out there. But coming from narcissistic abuse, domestic abuse, molestation, sexual abuse, self abuse, suicidal ideation, depression, anxiety, I've had it all. I experienced having a borderline parent. I experienced having the very disorganized attachment. I experienced abandonment. I felt like an orphan my whole life. Lived like a gypsy. I can remember being 13 and 14 years old and planning how I was going to run away from home and how I was going to survive while I was away. And I actually did it. And you think about that now, that a kid would just strike out by themselves on their own like that. Like, it's got to be some really tough stuff that kid going through, where they would rather deal with the uncertainty and the unknown of the streets than to be at home. And so that was my reality. Now my reality is I have a peaceful home. I'm no contact with my biological mother. And as difficult as that is, and as painful as that is, I have not one regret, because it allows me to be who I am today in front of you. And the steps that I took to get here is also in the OBB challenge. I had to learn how to observe the emotions that came up with going no contact, and not allow it to take me into a place where I'm going back on what I agreed to do for my own mental health and my physical health. And sometimes that does mean that you have less support. Sometimes that does mean that the kids don't get to have the experience of grandparents. Sometimes that does mean that you're lonely on holidays. Sometimes that does mean that you aren't going to have that person you can reach out and talk to that you feel like everyone else has, and you have to watch that. you know Whew. I felt it coming. But you know making those tough decisions shifted me into this higher dimension of experience, where I know when I'm going through a death, and I know when the rebirth is activating. you know I went through a death yesterday and this morning. Do you know when you're going through that, if you're not asking the questions that conjure that essence within you? Because if you ask questions, if you keep asking the same question, you're not going to get a different answer, right? It's being able to take these questions deeper into your psyche, where it accesses the subconscious program to come forward. Our brain is a quantum computer. And so whether you're working with archetypes or not, deities, gods, goddesses, working with your ancestors, like all of these things can work together very harmoniously. And so for me, watching the How to Go No Contact videos help like so much. Like Lisa Romano was like my go-to. Y'all know I share a lot of her content. But you know, it was really, really difficult to navigate, wanting to be this pillar of love, but having to be a loner, right? And I had to become a loner to become a lover. And it's just one letter difference in those two, right? And by becoming a loner, I became a lover. By tapping into my shadows, I found my spiritual power. You know, so turning trauma into triumph, like this is on its way to you, and I guarantee you, the perspective and where I'm coming from, it's not going to be something that's just been recycled. I'm going into the Akashic, into the collective, into myself, and pulling things from many different dimensions and timelines to access this. And with that being said, I dreamed about, let me say this before I go, but some of y'all incarnated here in this time so that you could be like a regulator. So like, if you feel like what's happening in the world sometimes just affects you on a certain level, and you're really not trying to be like that, right? You could just walk in, you know, a store and they got the news on, and you just see this little kid that's getting shot, and they just keep playing it over and over, and like, you might get home later and be like, that's really bothering me. Well, you're supposed to do something with that, right? Take that energy and put it in motion. Become a locomotive of love. Like, move something through you. Do something. Call forth protection for children. Like, you're supposed to do something. And so I wanted to say this because what I realize is the people who have the ability to actually shift the collective and create paradigm shifts, one seed, one thought, one action at a time. Oftentimes we deal with an inferiority complex and we don't feel good enough, or we are narcissistic and we like have this like big pyramid shit. I'm getting it done. I'm doing it. I'm an energy healer. I'm doing Reiki. I'm certified in this. We just all over the place. And then we go into this space of feeling inferior, not feeling good enough. Who am I? Why do I think I can do this? That's the key right there. That's a shadow that's letting you know that there's a superpower inside of you. Of course, the 3D matrix is going to cause you to feel inferior. Like, that's what it's there to do. It's there to challenge us. And you can rise above these challenges. So I dreamed about the Civil War. Me and my family was sitting in the house. The house had this huge red door, and the door looked like it was made out of steel. Wasn't nobody getting up in there doing nothing to us. We was protected. But me, being me, Scorpio moon, hello, I'm like, okay, I want to find out what's on the other side of this door. We got out there, and buildings were still in embers. Like, everything had just got burnt down. It was dead animals, dead people. It was people on horses dressed in these old garments, like surveying the damage in the area, seeing if they could find any survivors. And we was just driving around all of this. We the only ones in cars. Talk about timelines merging. And I'm observing, and I'm like, wow, okay, so that Civil War energy is back on the planet. All right, all right. So I'm not going to be a part of the problem. Just tell me what I'm supposed to be doing. I surrender and humble myself to be guided. I don't want to approach this in an arrogant way as if I know what am I supposed to be doing. And I just kept hearing, observe, just observe. And we observed, rode around for probably like 30 minutes to an hour. I'm dreaming, but I can feel how long I'm asleep. And so I woke up an hour later because we got to a point in the dream where the police, I guess you would call it police, but they were like, you can't go across this border right here. There's a border. You can't cross this. Nobody's allowed to enter into this area. And I was like, why can't anybody enter into this specific area? It was like a ghost town. Nobody was in that area. And he was just like, I'm not privy to give you that information.
Wait, you said a barrier?
And then,
and that was North Korea.
It was a barrier, yeah. It kind of felt like North Korea for sure.
You can't leave North Korea.
So after that, I was like, I'm done with this. I saw everything I needed to see. I can't go down the road where I want to go. Let me wake up. So I woke up, I use crystal grids and everything I done talked about. Y'all just got to go to the website and go to the shop and see what's in there. Like, y'all can master this as well, have more lucidity in your dreams. So I woke up, I wrote everything down, and I'm like, just show me what this is. And they was just like, y'all are existing in the exact same energy that created Civil War. That's why it's so easy to pop off. That's why you can, even people that's not really angry people, like, I know y'all been feeling it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, oh my goodness. there is this little demon inside of me, and it wants to throw fireballs at everybody that is pissing me off right now. He's like, I'm usually a very loving, light person, but lately I'm feeling like I want to tear some shit up, right? So yes, that energy is being activated, and that Mars energy definitely is shifting. Pluto is going back into Capricorn soon, so like that's the power play and the power struggle. Do something with it. Do not allow yourself, if you're gonna go through the intensity of awakening, like, make it work for you. Are you making it work for you? Invest in yourself. Increase your value by how much time and effort and energy you put into investing in yourself. Then once you're in that higher vibrational space, then you can begin calling and sending that energy out to others. The Tongan meditation is really good for this as well. This is when you use compassion, you access that, and you send it to certain groups of people. So it's many different ways that you can use energy once you get in that space. But for me today, I wanted to share my energy with you all. And I wanted to explain the OBB challenge because I know I had the beautiful post posted. And this is just $4.44. Purpose in that too. The power is in the simple things, right? And so on the 7th day, if you join this challenge, you're going to get access to everything we talked about. And on the 7th day, you're going to be gifted with the Gangster Gratitude Self-Worth Journal. This is a separate set of journal prompts and information, separate from the course, for free, just to keep you celebrating yourself, to keep you motivated to continue, because I'm telling you, you matter. You are so important. And again, we oftentimes lack confidence in ourselves because maybe we didn't grow up around people that created that in us, and that's beautiful. You get to create it in you, and that way nobody can take it away from you because you created it. Everything is potential to have positive experiences. Nothing that's happening to you is all negative. Nothing. Show me your shadows, and I'll show you your spiritual powers. When I say that, I mean that. And that's what we doing. All right, y'all. I'm going to jump over here. Yet, the shop is, look, we be getting shadow banned over here. But trust and believe that shop, it's a reason. When people get shadow banned, y'all pick up on the energy and see what's the reason. Okay? Like, when I tell you I committed my life to this, I ain't dying, come back to, no. No, we're going to continue to grow, continue to heal, continue to write new verses, scripting the life that we was meant to live. Y'all already know what it is. Man, your third eye has just been kissed. I love y'all so much. Namaste, namaste.